Wicks over the middle, and it's caught by Houston. He breaks through two tacklers. He's ahead of everyone. He's going down the far sideline, down to the 30-yard line. He's 10 yards ahead of the field. A touchdown! Wow! 81 yards!
Hello, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. And welcome to the Gridiron. And in this video, I want to talk about after the recent rush or wave of free agent signings that the Giants had. Let me talk about what some of their options are as of right now going into the draft. Now, yesterday, Kyle Rudolph still hadn't signed his contract offer. I guess they're still talking it over because he might have to get his foot operated on. So we'll have to wait and see. That was yesterday. Obviously, we'll find out more about that as the days go by. The Giants are just gonna wash their hands of him. I mean, might require surgery. Surgery back in 4 months, surgery back in 6 months, surgery, see you next year. What's it going to do? If they keep him, will it change? I mean, you're not going to pay him the full year's salary if he's only going to come back halfway. So we'll just have to wait and see. Things are going to constantly keep changing up until the draft. There's no doubt about that. And especially, once again, it's going to be another tough draft. They have their pro days, but it's tough to get a lot of conversations where you're sitting down one-on-one with the guys. A lot of the stuff they used to be able to do. I mean, the skills they can show at the combine. They're going to show maybe at their draft day, their pro days. But it's just going to be different than it was in the past. So probably up to the last minute, things the boards will be constantly changing up or down. But with Adoree Jackson, all right, now you got Patrick Surtain and Caleb Farley. I can't possibly see how they would. They don't need nothing in the secondary as of right now, nothing. So obviously we're talking a week or two ago. You wanted to get that second cornerback position, and the beauty of that would be if you thought Caleb Farley or Patrick Surtain was your number one guy, and you can build around him. The beauty of that would be you put him at the number two, give him a year or two, and if he starts flourishing and taking off, well, then you move him now over to your number one cornerback. And if Bradbury loses a step here or there, or if you want to keep Bradbury, whatever, maybe slide him over to the number two. But I mean, as of right now, you're not going to need a cornerback. Micah Parsons, and it was just again one of those things you're not going to know probably 100% until maybe the draft comes out where he gets drafted. Because you hear the stories about what he did in college, and a lot of teams are going to be trying to get to the bottom of it. And if one of the teams seems to think the stories, it was no big deal, or people are being misled or whatever, he'll get drafted pretty high. But you're not going to know. It's just one of those things. You're not going to know. But I mean, if the Giants, try to find out more about the stories, if they're not deterred by the stories, he could be, you look at the tape, I mean, guy's pretty impressive. And to get him and maybe put him right next to Martinez, that would be very nice. Very, very nice. Now with Pitts, now talking about going back to the Rudolph kind of thing here, if Pitts were to fall to the Giants at number 11, if they don't have Rudolph, yeah, I think you gotta scoff them up. If you sign Rudolph, Pitts is there, and you take Pitts, I think you got to do something with Ingram. You can't have Pitts, Ingram, and Rudolph on it. That's just not happening. You got to do something with one of them. So that would mean Ingram's time would be gone. You know, I couldn't possibly see. You know, try to trade him, get what you can for him. So if he were to fall that far, it'd be tough to pass him up. Now, there's also the guy from Penn State. I think he's like a baby Gronk. I heard Fryermuth. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. He's like a baby Gronk at somebody possibly in the second round. So, you know, if Kyle Rudolph doesn't work out, he's still in search of a decent tight end, or if you're trying to get rid of Ingram, despite what Joe Judge says, you know, Fryermuth in the second round may not be a bad choice. So then you got your wide receivers. Gettleman says you can never have too much talent, especially at any one position. All right, okay. So if any one of those three guys, Waddle, Chase, right, or you know, Devontae Smith fall to us, I guess if they're in love with them, you know, we don't have the world, you know, the greatest, you know, wide receiver group of all time. You know, it's decent. You know, we got Slayton, Sterling Shepard, okay, and Golladay. Don't forget him. All right, so and if you get Saquon back, now you're certainly helping Daniel Jones. If you're drafting somebody, as I said, you can't get rid of Shepard this year. And, you know, it'd be tough to just have him sitting on the bench. So if you draft somebody, you put him in the slot, where, you know, what are you going to do with Shep? If Chase is there, maybe you put Slayton on the bench. You know, I mean, that's always a possibility. You know, Slayton certainly had his moments, not so much last year, but the first year he had his moments. So, I mean, that's a possibility. I would like to see us either really one of, you know, unless Pitts is there, but I'm saying one of three positions. It would be either edge/defensive line, an interior lineman, or Micah Parsons in the middle linebacker next to Micah and Martinez, boy. That'd be a heck of a combo, wouldn't it? But you can't, I mean, Penei Sewell, that's a pipe dream. He's never going to fall to us. Even though, I mean, if he did fall to us, you know, I guess with Parrott, you're not paying him much, but don't you want to see what he can possibly do? So again, Solder, you know, he's only making a few million this year. I'm sure, you know, I don't know what the plans are for him. It's just having him backing up Parrott, starting and bringing Parrott back in. I don't know what their plans are, but I mean, with Penei Sewell, I don't know so much what they were planning on doing with you know, if Penei Sewell's not going to fall to us. I think the Bengals would be crazy to let him go. Now you got Darisaw from Virginia Tech, but he's a tackle. Then you got Vera Tucker from USC. I heard, you know, he could play tackle, but they can also put him in as a guard and possibly shift him out to tackle. But if you got Vera Tucker from USC, you know, now you might have Hernandez, you got Gates, and you can put Vera Tucker in there at guard. Now you got your interior is all right. You know, is pretty decent. I don't know if you want to go into the season playing on Lemieux. I mean, run blocking wise, yeah, but he's like turnstile when it comes to pass defense. I mean, if you're the worst graded guard pass blocking wise. I mean, the only good point is the only way to go is up, right? But if you're the worst grade, I mean, you get these websites and all that, grade guards and all that. I mean, if you're the worst one, I mean, say they're off by a little bit, you're still almost the worst, and that's horrible. That's absolutely hard. Do you want to go into the season with that? Can you this is make or break for Daniel Jones, pretty much. Jason Garrett, Daniel Jones, right? So do you want to go into the season with a turnstile at guard, trying to help Daniel Jones? It's got the theory of relativity. Things are relative. Daniel Jones can stand back there like a statue, right, and wait for a receiver to come open, because sooner or later a receiver's going to come open. He's going to look good. If he takes a step or two and he has a defensive lineman on top of him because Lemieux whiffed at him, that's not helping him out much. So it's also, a good offensive line is going to make Daniel Jones better. It's going to make the receivers better. It's going to make Saquon Barkley better. It's going to make everybody better. Then you got Slater from Northwestern. I know he likes to play tackle. I think he's tackle. He wants to be tackle, but his arms are a little short. So he might be projected in the pros to be a guard. He would be a good pick as well too. It's just also you have to how do they value them? You want to go out of your way to draft a guard, number 11 overall. He better be pretty good. He better be very, very good. We drafted Hernandez, 34th a couple of years ago. So Hernandez was almost practically a number 1 first round pick, and jury's still out on him. I mean, he's not a total bust, but he could do a little better. So if you're going to draft a guard, number 11, he better be pretty special. Which now leads me to the defensive line / edge rusher. The shame of it is that, with Dalvin Tomlinson, I salute him. 4 years with the Giants. I don't know if he ever missed a game. Last year he was one of their captains. And it's tough. It's tough to draft somebody, classy guy, great guy, team captain, one of the captains, and then just let him go because you can't afford him. But I guess that's kind of the theme, with the Giants and the Vikings. I guess like Fred Robbins was drafted by the Vikings in 2000. He played 4 years. Then he came to the Giants. 2010, Linval Joseph was drafted by the Giants. He played 4 years with the Giants, and he went to the Vikings. Now, Dalvin Tomlinson played 4 years, was drafted 2017, drafted 4 years, or played 4 years with the Giants. Now he's going to the Vikings. So I guess the Vikings and Giants draft defensive tackles and just, after they play 4 years, it's your turn, you get them. But, so don't underestimate that either. I mean, he wasn't an awesome pass rusher, but he was a very solid, run defender. Now, can't put underestimate that, because you got Leo Line, you got Lawrence, and you had Dalvin. You had a nice 3 being able to, protect against the run. As I said, he wasn't, the greatest as a pass rusher, but that run defense, you don't overlook that. Now, which brings me to the defensive lineman / edge rushers. You got Kwity Paye. He's more in the lines, possibly defensive lineman. He's got some explosive moves. Last year he didn't get too much away into sacks. I think one of his years he had like 9.5. Pretty good. Not so much last year, but he's like 6'4". He's over 270. So I don't know if he would be so much of an edge rusher, but if the Giants could see him as, he's got some moves, he's got some explosiveness. I mean, chances are if he would put on a little bit more weight, because Dalvin Tomlinson weighed a lot more than he did. But Kwity Paye's like 6'4". He's over 270, but I think if they think they could put him on keep him on the defensive line, and if he could hold his own and create some pressure, that would be immense. If you can get pressure from just three guys, Dexter push in the middle, you got Leo Lyon over here, you got Kwity Paye applying pressure with just three guys. Wow, that would be special. It's like back in the 80s when you'd have like Leonard Marshall one end, you'd have Howard or Burt, depending upon what year, if it was before Burt got traded to the 49ers, then you have Howard in there. It would before that, you had Jim Burt in the middle, and you can rush Lawrence Taylor off the other edge, and you get pressure with just three guys and drop 8 guys in the secondary. Boy, that's pretty special. And if you could do that with these three guys, with the three guys we got now, or if Kwity Paye was in there, and have 8 guys in the secondary, that'd be pretty special. Or if Patrick Graham dials something up crazy, you get the pressure with the 3 guys, and then you send somebody else, maybe Peppers or somebody, coming in on a fourth guy rushing in, or maybe even sending somebody else. But if you can get pressure with 3 guys, that's pretty doggone special. Now, which leads you to Gregory Rousseau, a guy's like it's kind of like a JPP kind of guy. He's like it's a freak in nature. He had 15.5 sacks. He only played 1 year though. Well, I think he played 2 years. I don't know if he played 1 game 3 years ago, and he had like 5 total of like assisted tackles and solo tackles. I think he had 5 altogether in like 1 game. No sacks, but then the next year he had 15.5 sacks. I mean, wow. I mean, the upside of this guy can be rather frightening. So you see what how the Giants grade him out, because there's not that you got 1 year, and last year he sat out. You can't blame him. He sat out because of the virus. But you only have 1 year worth of tape on him. Is that going to be enough? But I mean, what I'm hearing, the upside of him was kind of like JPP. I remember when they drafted him. Actually, I was at the draft in New York when they drafted him. I'm like, Jason Pierre-Paul. I'm like, what? Who? Huh? I'm like, what? But that turned out to be a phenomenal draft choice. I mean, it was the same thing. He was a little kind of raw, but his upside was immense. Kind of sounds like the same thing with Rousseau. Then there's the last one I want to cover is the guy from Georgia, Aziz Ojulari. I believe I'm probably going to screw his name up. He's definitely would be like an edge outside pass. He's got good moves. I think he only played 2 seasons. I mean, but he's like 240 pounds, so that you're not putting him on the line. He's definitely somebody who would have to play the outside, maybe go out in coverage or whatever, or obviously rush the core. But he's got some moves. The Giants, I believe, sent when he had his pro day, when Georgia, I guess, had their pro day, Giants had some guys there, and they were talking to him and checking him out. So he's also somebody, to keep on your radar as well. Now, when you see all these mock drafts, guys are moving up and down the board. A lot of it also depends upon, free agency's not over with yet. Who knows? Who's taking a quarterback? Who's taking which quarterback? I mean, Trevor Lawrence going number 1. Boom. Other than that, what's happening? Are the Jets taking a quarterback? Or they're going to trade out, which may not be a bad idea. I believe they still believe in Sam Darnold. So they were either going to trade out of there, get some more draft picks, which they could use, or draft a wide receiver to help Sam. But I mean, who knows? With trades, guys moving up and down, you still got the as I said, you still got some free agency going on. So who knows? The mock drafts are just going to go up and going to change constantly. I have a mock draft. I'm going to have 1 mock draft the week of the draft, whenever all the dust settles and everything, and I can kind of look and see who needs what and everything like that. I'll have one mock draft, and I'm probably only going to get one guy right. The first pick, Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to get that right. Every other one I'm probably going to be way off on, but I'm going to try anyway. But what I would like to see, because we still got some holes, okay? I would like to see defensive line, the edge, defensive line slash edge, which will help with the pass rush and help replace Dalvin Tomlinson. Micah Parsons, if we can forgive his stories and all, if they are forgivable, who knows? He would be pretty special, and because the Giants don't draft linebackers since Carl Banks, 1984. But he would be pretty special. Or if they grade one of the offensive interior linemen that high, one of those plug and play guys, that would really, really help. Because then you kind of now you got your offensive line. I'm certainly not going to say it's set, but if you got Thomas, you got Hernandez, you got Slater, you got one of those other two guys I was talking about at a guard, and then you got Parrott or Solder over here, and that way you can at least see if Parrott can be your right tackle for the future. If not, you got Solder in there, then you just know that, okay, in the next draft or whatever, we're going to need a right tackle, which you don't have to necessarily get in the first round. But if you can get an offensive lineman, that's going to make Daniel Jones better. That's going to make the wide receivers better. That's going to make Saquon Barkley better. That's going to make the offense better. That's going to make the defense better. Because the defense sitting on the sideline just drinking Kool-Aid while the offense just walks up. And so never, ever, ever, ever underestimate a good offensive lineman. Never. Even if it's a guard, right? They take a guard, somebody, guard slash tackle at number 11, don't scratch your head, because a good offensive line, especially interior, pressure right up the middle, just where a quarterback can't step up, is just going to kill a quarterback. Ask Tom Brady. Ask the greatest of all time. He hates pressure up the middle. But, don't underestimate a guard. A guard can change everything. All right, so I would like to see either an interior offensive lineman, defensive line slash edge, or Micah Parsons. But, we still got about a month to go. Things are going to change. We'll have to wait and see what happens with Kyle Rudolph. But as of right now, as I said, those are my options that I have. I think that the Giants are going to go with, or possibly go with, that I would like to see. The offensive line, defensive line, or Micah Parsons. That's what I would like to see. But of course, said we got a little over a month till the draft, and the week of the draft, I'll have my my one and only mock draft. Well, as always, people, thank you so much for taking time any day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there, and go Giants! Woo!